Dr. Arav Mehta, a man in his late 30s with sharp features, intelligent eyes, and a wiry frame, lies motionless on a sleek medical bed. Electrodes map the landscape of his mind, small blinking lights tracing his descent into REM sleep. His slightly unkempt black hair contrasts with the pristine sterility of the lab. The hum of machines is the only sound in the room. Behind the reinforced glass, his research assistant, Dr. Naina Sharma, watches intently, her fingers hovering over the controls. Her breath fogs the screen slightly. She knows this experiment is different. On the monitor beside Arav, something impossible happens. A second heartbeat appears, slightly out of sync with the first. His brain waves spike, then stabilize, but the patterns don't resemble typical REM activity. Arav isn't just dreaming. He's slipping somewhere else. A parallel universe. Perhaps not a separate world, but a different layer of reality, one that exists just outside human perception. A place that only the unconscious mind can access. And for the first time, a waking mind is forcing its way in. Arav finds himself standing in the middle of a sprawling metropolis, but something is off. The buildings stretch too high, their shapes subtly shifting when he's not looking directly at them. The streets are empty, yet he feels watched. The sky is not the familiar blue of Earth. It is a deep violet, swirling with clouds that twist unnaturally, as if responding to unseen forces. He looks down at his hands and sees himself reflected in the dark glass of a nearby building. His features remain the same, but something about them unsettles him. His skin appears smoother, slightly luminous, as if lit from within. His pupils seem elongated for just a fraction of a second before snapping back to normal. He recalls an old Indian sci-fi show, one of those alien invasion episodes where a human slowly realizes they've been replaced by something else. The thought grips his chest with unease. He reaches up to touch his face, half expecting to feel something unfamiliar. His reflection lingers for a fraction longer than it should before mimicking his movement. He exhales shakily. "This isn't just a dream," he whispers. In the waking world, Naina frantically scans the monitors. Arav's body is convulsing, but his vitals indicate something stranger. He is experiencing brain activity from two separate sources, as if two versions of his consciousness are existing at once. His body here, his mind elsewhere. The medical readings don't make sense. She grips the intercom and calls his name, but he doesn't respond. Inside the mirror city, Arav stumbles as the world flickers, like a screen struggling to maintain a signal. The streets momentarily vanish into static before reforming. His alternate self steps forward, eyes full of urgency. "You shouldn't have come," the duplicate warns. "They don't like it when someone crosses over." Arav hears it before he sees it, the shifting, stretching sound of something breaking through. A dark figure unfurls from the liquid-like walls, a shadow without a source. Its form warps, as if it's trying to mimic human shape but failing. The ground beneath Arav ripples, his entire body buzzing with the eerie sensation of being in two places at once. The longer he stands here, the more he feels himself dissolving, as if reality itself is trying to absorb him into something else. Then, just before the shadow reaches him, everything snaps to black. Arav gasps awake, violently pulling air into his lungs. The lab is bright, sterile, exactly as he left it. His chest heaves as Naina rushes to his side, placing a steadying hand on his arm. "You scared me," she says, her voice calm but distant. "You were out longer than expected." Arav sits up, rubbing his temples, but something feels wrong. His surroundings are identical but slightly too clean, as if the lab has been reconstructed from memory rather than reality. The glass wall looks newer, the equipment more advanced. Naina's hair. He remembers it being tied back, but now it's loose. Even the air feels different, heavier. His eyes flick to the screen beside him. Subject 57. Transition successful. Naina's expression shifts. Not relief, but clinical detachment. She reaches toward a console, pressing a button. Arav watches her, pulse quickening, mind scrambling for an answer. A sickening realization creeps over him. Did he come out of the alien world or enter it?